What do you remember of the Berlin Wall? Is it like just watching on TV? Is it like, did you watch the Hoff up there dancing on the wall? Or
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember watching, the news footage and people taking hammers to the wall and, sledgehammers and watching David Hasselhoff, get up there and sing with his jacket. And for me, that was cool because I was like, dude, that's Knight Rider.
I remember Knight Rider. Yeah, absolutely. This is the History Buzz. Welcome to the History Buzz, where we talk about history over a couple of drinks and let the conversation wander where it may. I am the host, Scott, here with my wife and historian, Jen.
Hello.
And today we are chatting with JD from the History Underground YouTube channel. Welcome, JD.
Hello.
Now, before we start emptying our glasses for the listeners, I want to ask our listeners to help us out by leaving a review in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or even feel free to reach out to us at thehistorybuzz.com. And don't forget to check out our other podcast, Talk with History, where Jen and I dive deeper into our Walk with History videos and give you a behind-the-scenes look at our history-based YouTube journey. Now, note most of you watching or listening to this may know JD as the host of the History Underground YouTube channel, which as of recording, and correct me if I'm wrong a little later here, JD, you've got about 270,000 subscribers. And I would describe his channel, for those who haven't seen it yet, as one of the premier history and travel channels on YouTube right now. And JD, it's been really fun to see your channel explode over the past year and a half since Jen and I kind of first became aware of it. But before we talk about the channel, can you give us a little bit of background on you, maybe where you grew up and kind of how you came around to being interested in loving history?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a Midwestern guy. Grew up in Missouri, and as far as like my background and as far as like my interest in history goes, that would primarily be tied in with my grandpa. So I was really close with my grandpa. He had a cattle farm, so I was constantly out with him. Checking cattle. We'd go squirrel hunting, turkey hunting, everything like that. And while we were out, he would always tell me, stories about growing up during the Depression and about his time in the Korean War. He was a combat engineer in the 40th Infantry Division.
Cool.
So I was my brother and I were constantly asking him questions and picking his brain and just listening to the stories. And I think that's what really kind of triggered my interest in history. And then my dad also, he was born in the 1950s and really kind of was coming of age during the golden years of the space exploration program.
Cool.
And I forget how old he was during the moon landing and stuff like that. But anyway, so we were constantly watching documentaries and things like that.
Oh, okay.
It was just kind of getting it from all ends. My other grandpa was a World War II veteran. He was stationed up in the Aleutian Islands during World War II.
Cool.
So he would tell me all kinds of stories. That was kind of the seed that got planted, early on for me.
Yeah, no, that's super neat.
Yeah.
And so it's always interesting for me to hear how people kind of come around to being interested in history. I joke about it. I don't know if you've heard any of our other podcasts, but I joke about it all the time, JD. I'm not actually a huge history buff. Yeah, I'm not really super interested in history. That's all Jen. That's all the historian right here. And so I joke about that because now I'm producing, we're producing 2 history podcasts and a history YouTube channel, and I'm learning to kind of enjoy the aspects of it that I don't think I did in my youth. So talk to us a little bit about how the YouTube channel came about, because I don't think I actually checked to see how long you've had the channel online or kind of the earlier evolutions of it.
Yeah, we connected, I think, pretty young in your channel. I think you may had just hit 100K, and you had gone to Arlington.
Yeah.
And I think we were there right at the same time. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was at Arlington this week too. And you're like, I was too. And so we connected that way.
Yeah. I was so mad at myself after I watched your Arlington video because I was like, dadgummit, I wish I would have waited a little bit and then watched yours. That way I could have, maybe caught some other things that I've missed along the way. Yeah, the YouTube channel, I joke about it. But it's really true. It's a complete accident. So my background is in history education on a high school level. Mm-hmm. And I also have a background in like video production and mostly in the outdoor television industry. So I co-produced a hunting show called Hallowed Ground Outdoors for 6 seasons.
I definitely could tell you had some background there. So I've got questions for you later about the production side.
Your production is
I watch your videos for tips. I was like, man, he does that really well. So okay, I interrupted. So your channel.
So anyway, I was on a family vacation, and we went to the National Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. Which just has tons of different things with aviation history. It's an amazing place. I haven't done a video there. I really should. But they have the Memphis Belle there. And they also have Boxcar, the B-29 that dropped the bomb on Nagasaki. So,
oh my gosh.
I just got out my phone and was filming some things and pointing it at myself like a moron and, talking about it. And I thought, well, I'll use this in class whenever we start talking about World War II. They'll be able to kind of see it. So I, threw something together and showed it in class whenever we were talking about the Second World War. And my students said, hey, that was really good. You should start a YouTube channel doing that. That was actually pretty interesting. They actually preferred watching me on the screen rather than watching me like in the classroom.
How interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, we got a generation who's been living their life through a screen, their entire lives, and they're a bunch of YouTube junkies. And so anyway, they said that I should start a YouTube channel, and I told them, I said, that's a stupid idea. I said, no. I said, there's not going to be anybody who wants to watch me, go to these history places and everything like that. So I brushed it off. And they kept after me. So I thought, well, maybe I'll give it a go, and if they find value in it, and maybe some other teachers find value in it, maybe it'll do some good. That was I think my first video was around Memorial Day of 2019.
You're coming up on 3-year anniversary then.
So 3 years.
Yep. Been at it about 3 years now. And then it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah. So how cool. That's I love hearing stories like that. Everybody's got a different story. We talked to Chris Witt from Witt Doc Cemetery Tours.
Yeah.
And his was more a family, like, hey, I'm doing something for the family ahead of time, and I like documentaries, kind of like you. And his snowballed from there. So.
Yeah, and ours was the same thing. Like, we had just moved to the South, and I wanted to educate my family about living in Memphis. And so I made a Facebook page for the family.
Yeah.
And filmed places and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And I remember, and you'll enjoy this. So the very first video that we tried for the channel I used old iPhone footage of what she took of one of the Nathan Bedford Forrest statue that used to be in Memphis. And it was all vertical. So I'm like pulling my hair out. I was like,
was that the real ugly statue that doesn't
No,
that's
that one was by now. No, that crazy like golden bronze one. No,
this is the one. It was like in downtown Memphis.
This was downtown Memphis. Okay. This actually was like, it looked more like the Lee statue. Yeah.
It was over his grave, wasn't it?
Over his grave. So that was the biggest controversy.
Yeah.
When I explained it to people, because the thing was, when I moved to Memphis, I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
Right? Like, who the heck is Nathan Bedford Forrest? Like, and in the North, we don't really learn who he is. And if you watched Forrest Gump, maybe you remembered that he was named after him.
Yeah.
But so I did it mostly to educate my family. Like, who was this big statue in Memphis?
Yeah, and then with all the kind of the social stuff that happened later,
Yes.
that was one of the statues that got taken down or
But
moved.
it took a while because
You
of the
know.
graves.
And
right?
so there was plenty of stuff for us to kind of talk about in that
Yes.
first video. So that's how it generates. Same thing, right? I think a lot of people
Yeah.
start like, hey, I'm just going to do this because, you know, I know how to do some video stuff, or I'm interested and I want to share it with people I know. So, no, that's super interesting that your students kind of recommended that to you, and you were
That's
like,
awesome. Do you
yeah.
thank your students now? You give them all the credit?
Yeah, I told them. Said, hey, I appreciate it. You guys had a really good idea. It wasn't my idea.
yeah,
No,
no, that's
are you all
That's
familiar with
awesome.
the YouTube channel Khan Academy? It's a
yes. So I've heard of Khan Academy.
Okay,
I've never
so-
actually checked it out.
yeah, a lot of it. I mean, it started off, I think, with like math. A series of videos doing math problems and stuff like that. But it started, if I'm not mistaken, with a guy who, I forget where his maybe his niece or something like that. But he had a family member who was struggling with math, so he
Yeah.
just started making these videos and sending them to her to help her out.
interesting.
And man, that thing has exploded. So yeah,
I mean,
it's
isn't
really cool.
Khan Academy is I mean, it's a legitimate huge business now, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's an
Yeah,
empire.
it's huge. I'll show it to you
Wow.
later, Jen. But I think I heard about it through like tech circles because I used to listen to a lot of like Apple and tech podcasts and stuff like that.
Yeah, and JD, I see you're drinking something. So let's what are we drinking tonight, babe?
Oh, well, so me personally, I've got a little kind of local IPA
Yes.
that I'm going with. I know you're rocking the Coke Zero.
I'm rocking the caffeine. I need the caffeine right now. How about you, JD?
So I've got a drink called it's from a company called Origin. It's Jocko Discipline Go.
Awesome.
Flavor is called
is that
Sour
that,
Apple Sniper.
is that like Jocko Willink, the seal?
Jocko Willink. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Okay,
do some work with the company that he co-owns. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, right on. Well, little plug for them.
Go Navy.
So we're gonna we're gonna move on to the next segment here, and so JD, this is something that we just kind of came up with for a friend of ours who first came on the History Buzz. So we're gonna do a word association game.
Oh boy.
So we're not gonna do it. Trust me, it's gonna be history oriented by the end. You'll